I'm Thomas Campen. Let's talk nerd. I have a passion, and that's for storytelling. I've spent most of my adult life running games. I see it as an art form, and I'm always looking for new ways to make the games I run better. I have a pretty strong sense these days of what constitutes a good game versus a bad one, and I always cringe when I hear stories of bad games. A common theme in these bad game stories is a storyteller having a particular plot in mind for their game and ramming that plot down the player's throats. See, those are the games that leave players unhappy. So when I read a published adventure that does that very thing, I get very confused. Hey, when I started playing, the modules didn't even have plots. They were just floor plans with write-ups about which monster was in what area. Hell, even on that level, they didn't make sense. I remember reading some adventure where there's these three rooms and 15 meters of each other. One had a group of gnomes mining, the next had a land eel under some rubble, and the third had a troll sleeping. I still remember thinking, why is there not just one troll sleeping off a meal of noisy gnomes with a giant eel as dessert? Just random stuff like that, just always tossed together. I was trained to think of adventures as a series of scenarios, each building on one another, heading towards an end goal. The story being told is the player's story. They are the protagonists, and they drive that story. Sure, sometimes you have to prod players to go in certain directions or to help them out to solve some problems, but ultimately it's up to the players to solve each scenario. And it's up to the storyteller to tailor each scenario using previous scenarios as building blocks, therefore validating the choices the players have made. There is some positive things I can say about this module. It makes the next module look spectacular in comparison. No, that's mean. There's some good work here, but it makes the bad glaringly bad. The potential is here, but there's no work, no soul in this piece. It's by the numbers, for the numbers, and that's just sad. Enough complaints. Let's look at the next part of Serpent's Skull, the race to ruin. The last module had the players shipwrecked on a haunted island, finding a treasure map to a fabulous lost city. They make it to the mainland and now need to translate that map so they can find that city. Once they get the map translated, they find out it's a map to an outpost that holds the location of the lost city. Wow, the city is in another castle. Then they are approached by 5 different factions who offer to fund the expedition in exchange for a chance to loot this city. Question: how did the factions know the players had the map? It explains that the NPC castaways from the first adventure worked for their respective factions and told their employers. So the castaways who the group had befriended are spying on them? That doesn't look good. Maybe the person they hired to do the translation sold them out. If that's the case, shouldn't that be mentioned if it comes up? Okay, I got the map translated, but we've hit a few snags.
What sort of snags?
The guy who did the translation made copies and sold it to a bunch of other interested parties. They're all setting up as we speak.
So we've got to get going if we want to beat them. When do we leave?
That's the next problem. Rodney found out the guy sold us out.
Oh, I was wondering what all that smoke was about.
Yeah, so Rodney's in jail and we don't have enough money to bail him out.
We want to bail him out?
Does each of the factions have a copy of the map? If so, what does that mean to the party? They toiled and almost died for this map, and the translator or the castaways all made copies and sold it to the factions? How did the factions get their act together so quickly? It's so contrived that the factions all approached the group at the same time with the exact same offer. The most insulting part is that the party is supposed to just accept that they've lost this information and have now been reduced to henchmen to a faction. They aren't partners. They've been paid money to help lead the faction to this lost city, and they have no choices in what happens during the adventure once they say yes to the offer. Each faction gives similar benefits and no drawbacks, so they're essentially the same thing. The only thing that matters between them is their motives for going. One is a group of venture capitalists. The next are pirates, which is the same thing as the capitalists, only with less bathing and more rum. The next is a bunch of explorers and archaeologists looking to preserve the heritage of the city and look damn good doing it. The next is a group of religious assassins looking for a magical item rumored to be in the city. The last is the government of the city you are in looking to expand their holdings against their neighbors. The NPC castaways from the last module are each aligned with one of these groups and will join the party to bolster them if needed. Although each group has different reasons as to why they're going to this lost city, for the players, it's all the same thing. They're a portable exchange market. The lost city is at least a week from the closest major city, so the players can travel that far to sell loot, or they can take a faction with them and sell the loot to them. It's just a time saver. I think I've solved their money problems. I spoke to the groups who are going, and they all want to hire us to lead the expedition.
Great. So what's the catch?
None. So far. They'll even pay us up front, but we have to pick who we want to run with. With Rodney still in jail, it's our choice.
So, who are these people?
The first is a Texan billionaire. Howdy!
He seems solid.
Then we have the pirates. Yar.
Huh.
And then the ninjas. This one's a British archaeologist. Oh, blimey, mates.
I think I'm seeing a pattern here.
And this guy's from the government.
Those eyes, lifeless, like a doll's eyes.
Yeah, I think he said he was a politician.
No!
Each faction has the same map as the party, and they're all preparing to head out. So now the race is on. Rather than letting the party make a choice of which route to take, they are told they're going to head down this path and go up this river. Look, here's the railroad, so everybody hold hands and get on the train. But before the party can head out, one of the rival faction hires a band of mercenaries to set fire to the party's warehouse and to slow them down. Push, 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 push. New problems.
Now what?
A bunch of dudes have just set fire to our warehouse and have kidnapped Rodney. They're threatening to kill him if their demands aren't met.
Oh no. What do they want?
They're demanding an end to all slavery. They've holed up in some whale processing plant. They've got Rodney somewhere in the building, and they're threatening to set fire to the whole thing if they don't get what they want.
Let me get this straight. They want to end slavery and destroy a factory that kills whales. And they're going to kill Rodney if they don't get what they want.
Right, so we've got to, once you say it out loud.
I think I'll sit this one out.
The kidnappers gave a bunch of dogs rabies and let them loose on the city before attacking. The city's been forced to put all those poor dogs down.
I will annihilate them.
Druids, you just gotta know how to motivate them. After dealing with the anti-slavery, anti-whaling activists, economic insurrectionists, the party is told that they need to still hire a guide for the road. You know, faction, you've hired us to go to this place, but what exactly are you doing to help out here? I thought you were supposed to be the one doing all the hiring and organizing for this expedition. So, why are we doing all of this? Whatever. Off they go to hire the best guide in the area. Some weird, drooling old hermit who sets a bunch of trials, like fighting sea monsters and pearl diving, before he agrees to work for the party. And if the party doesn't hire this guy, they are penalized harshly. Not only are they out the experience points, a week is added onto the time it takes to get to the outpost. Why hasn't any of the other factions just hired this guy, or killed him outright if this is the kind of effect he has? Burning the warehouse wasn't anywhere as harsh as this. This guy alone is the one thing that the party's success hinges on, and he's barely in the adventure. He's supposed to help with the local tribespeople, who are never met, and deal with the local hazards, which are never crossed. He avoids fighting and has no personality. He's an awful NPC, but the module forces him onto the party. But he does offer to take the party on a drug-induced journey into the spirit world thing that's a gigantic waste of a night. During these insane trips, they gain a totem animal and fight a spiritual representation of the evil priestess from the first adventure. Is the totem animal useful? No. It gives a minor bonus and is never mentioned in any of the other modules. So, in other words, pointless. Oh, there's a group of damsels that the party saves on the road that offer to give them tattoos and take them on a second trip. If they do that, there's some really stupid omens about the beheaded god, but because the party believes that they're off to go loot a city, it's too vague and therefore meaningless. And just don't get me started on the whole spirit world thing. We're in Africa land, so we need a spirit journey. So rather than make a different interpretation of the rigid rules that exist for extraplanar travel, they give a lazy free association spirit journey. I can't. I just can't. Enough. The party, once they've hired Drooly the Weird Hermit, is ready to head out and race the other factions to the outpost. When I think race other factions, I'm thinking wacky races, you know? Other factions competing against each other, trying to sabotage one another while making it to the outpost. Maybe the party can find a way to slow down the other groups by leaving behind cunning traps, or maybe have an exciting duel where wagons race and dust flies. Sorry, that sounds hard, and if you want to have fun and interesting gameplay, then feel free to try, but don't expect this module to help out. It's statted exactly and very delicate, so any sort of excitement like that throws it all out of whack, so just stay on the railroad, please, and try not to excite your players. Seriously, this part of the adventure is just a bunch of forgettable, pre-generated encounters that might as well be random. The party never sees the other racers, except for one encounter that is written as rival faction agents attack, and if played right, it can be a pretty devastating fight. Also, the party sees a bunch of dead bodies that were rival faction agents on the road before being jumped by a possessed dire ape. Because, I don't know anymore. Everything else you encounter has no purpose and adds nothing, except to add a little time to that all-important clock. There's a reason why most storytellers hand-wave the journey to the dungeon, because the journey can be boring. Unless the storyteller has an actual story that links the encounters together as a cohesive plot, or the players like having downtime to roleplay in, there's no reason to run the day-to-day journey. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time spent on rolling dice to fight random and forgettable things. I tell a lie. There's one encounter, the first one the players have on the road, that's pretty memorable. The map shows a shortcut that they can take them through an abandoned mine. Hey, Drooly, any idea what this is about? Why does our map, based on information from 10,000 years ago, show a mine that's only 12 years old? No? You have no role in this adventure anymore? That's cool, bro. If the party goes and explores, they'll find the abandoned mine. It was attacked by undead who poured out of the ground, and now only a single survivor lives nearby. She was the daughter of the mine owner and is now a young ranger with a dinosaur as an animal companion. She gives the exposition of what's happened and asks the party if they want to explore the mine to help find a precious heirloom for her. A pretty young woman with an awesome dinosaur that needs help? Let's do this! The undead were created by yet another Deus Ex Machina magical item, a big blue orb full of evil energy that killed the miners and turned them into undead. Why is it here? How was it made? What is it? No clue. It's just there. Damn these random blue balls of evil undead creating energy. I hate it when they show up. If the players give the heirloom back to the dinosaur ranger, she offers to join as a scout, shaving some time off that clock. After this, she's never mentioned again. Great NPC so far. Drooly and Dino Girl. Very interesting. The whole journey to the outpost is just a flop. Riding rapids and swinging on vines? Nope. Weird spirit-throwing tribespeople? Sure, just don't expect to deal with them in any meaningful way. They're depicted as worse than the slave-owning colonists, as in flaying the skin off their victims and turning the bodies into zombies and sending them back to their loved ones. Kind of awful. So many interesting possibilities, and they went with that disaster. It's just great. The whole race is a lie. If the party screws the pooch, the worst they'll do is third place out of 5. They could go, take a few days off, have an actual adventure, have a couple of drinks, and if they do everything they're supposed to do, still be first. It's rigged so the group can't fail if they jump through the proper hoops and do not do anything while on the railroad. The storyteller is just manipulating the players into feeling like they've accomplished something. This is terrible storytelling. The outpost is being held by a tribe of crazy monkey men and an evil serpent man. The spiritual leader of the tribe is a monkey man who follows the beheaded god from the end of the adventure. His story is that he was bitten by a snake and during a poison-induced fever saw a vision of the beheaded god and became a worshiper. You know all those years you spent in religious school learning how to be a priest of your god? Poison-induced fever dreams can cut that time down significantly. Hey, I can get us a hooded cobra. This'll be simple. Pucker up. I'm joking. Between this dude and the undead priestess from the last adventure, him I like. At least it's an explanation. There's even a pit here so they could put the monkey man priest into it and create a motif. You know, fighting the beheaded serpent god in a pit? Never mind, there's a weird tentacle blob living in there instead. What is that thing? A big green ball with tentacles and a big maw? Why is that so familiar? A decampus. I know that monster. Where's that from? Never mind. At the far side of the outpost is a ruined pyramid. At the top of the pyramid is a magical map. But wait, in order to use the map, the party has to go deep into the pyramid to smash a bunch of statuettes to release the memory of how to use the map. This ancient advanced civilization wasn't big into just writing things down, I guess. No, statuettes that hold instruction manuals in memory energy form is much cheaper. Again, a Deus Ex magical item. I could start a counting gag if I wanted to. Once they vandalize the statues downstairs, they have to go and kill the Serpent Man and the Monkey Man priest to get magical gemstones to focus the energy of the power of the sun to use the map. I've read this part a couple of times, and I'm still not clear on what's going on. The gems are put into pillars, and the pillars are turned in a specific way, like a combination lock, to shine light on the place the characters are looking for. But because the mechanism for the map is damaged, it can only be used to find one place on the map, which conveniently is the lost city the group is looking for. So in order to use the map, the user needs the gemstones and the combination from the statuettes, but not really because the combination is already set, so they just need the gemstones for the magical laser pointer to work. So why do they need the statuettes? Can the mechanism be repaired to show other lost ruins in the jungle? Wouldn't that information be more valuable? I guess not, because looting a series of ruins could be interesting and maybe let the players have some choices. We can't very well have that. Alright, so what if the party comes in second? It's assumed, and pretty well rigged, that the party gets there first, but what if they don't? Or, alternatively, what about the other groups? There is a write-up of what each group does if they beat the party to the outpost, but in order to use the map, they need the gemstones and the statuettes. So, how does anyone use the map after the first group? It's not like someone is just going to leave the gemstones behind because they're worth money and the statuettes are all broken, so now what? I guess they could follow the tracks left behind by the winners? I guess. There is a rule that states the map can be used without the gemstones, but the skill needed to do that is outside the party's capabilities at this level. The evil Serpent Man is floated as an alternative because he's almost skilled enough to use the map without the stuff, but that means he has to survive in order to be helpful. Also, he's from the Lost City. He got chased out by an evil demon and has run to this outpost in order to try and find his way back home. He should be a font of information about the next module, but that isn't even touched on. I give up. Once the party activates the map and the magic disco ball shows them the way, it's time to finish the journey and get ready for the next module. So, what did I think of this effort? When I was young, the idea of getting an adventure published was the dream. Validation of your dedication to the game. We all hoped and dreamed and sent bad manuscripts to TSR or Dragon Magazine, hoping beyond hope that they might look at our work and say, this is okay. So when I read a published adventure that is this raw, this ugly, I get really offended. This module is the antithesis of what I believe good storytelling is. It wants the storyteller to manipulate the players, manipulate them into giving up what they've earned and accept a lie. It's demeaning, and I hate it. And I just realized why the tentacle ball monster is so familiar. You know what? I need time to recover from Serpent Skull. Next up, we're going back to the basics and saving a palace from evil, the Palace of the Silver Princess. Until then.
We made it.
I didn't think we would, especially after we lost the guide.
Yeah, I still can't believe he got killed by a swarm of infernal parrots. He never saw it coming.
He did say that was the way he wanted to go. Hey, where's Dino Girl? Oh, don't tell me she died to the monkey men.
No, she had a conversation with Rodney and left.
All I asked is if she wanted to bang. How was I supposed to know she was a lesbian?
This is why we don't show you on camera.